Let's unpack the tendency to compartmentalize and the negative result of a one-dimensional approach that ignores how we make money and instead simply focuses on what we do with it once we get it. To do this, I want to look at it from three perspectives: the personal, the business, and the philanthropic. Now, I absolutely am seeing changes occur and people engaging in new ways and a speeding up of the shifts that are so needed in the world in terms of the way we're starting to think about business as a role in making a difference. But at the same time, what is interesting is that even this week, I have had multiple conversations where the entrenched views that separate out doing good and making money have been on full display. I am aware that it's really important that we actually take the time to look at those negative impacts or side effects of what happens when we have this one-dimensional approach, what happens when we separate out how we're making money and then what we do with it. So if we start with the personal, one of the conversations I had this week that has inspired this episode was with a hugely ambitious business leader who said to me, to make the impact at such a scale that I want to, in terms of the vision I have of what I want to create and change, I need serious wealth. And with that in mind, I don't want to limit my wealth generating activities by making them also having to be contributing to or aligned with the issues I care about. So that was kind of how they framed their question or pushback to me, because we were having this conversation around the different components of what they were trying to achieve and the role their business could play in that. And that approach that says, because of the scale of my ambition in terms of the impact I want to have in the world, I am going to need to make really serious cash. So therefore, it would be limiting or work against me if I tried to align all of those things and be contributing in all of the ways that I'm operating. For me, working with business leaders like that to cultivate the mantra that I use, which is to think like a system and act like an entrepreneur. Working to help them cultivate that is actually one of my favorite things, because when someone that driven and that committed to both creating impact and acquiring wealth at such a scale develops a both and mindset that brings doing good and making money back together, really exciting things can happen. The piece I want to point out in terms of the conversation that I had with this person is that they're not alone. So this isn't a criticism of them. Like I said, I'm genuinely excited to work with them and help demonstrate to them and show them and plant those seeds of what is possible when you bring these worlds back together. So I'm not criticizing them. They're not alone in thinking that that's how you do it, because the fact is that's what's been modeled to us. You know, you do a Bill Gates and you become a billionaire, and then you turn your mind to how you can contribute. The thing is that I don't actually think that that approach cuts it anymore, and for multiple reasons. Compartmentalizing our life and our acts of contribution, so having them sitting in very distinct places, and then wondering why we feel a sense of internal conflict or dissonance, is at the heart of the old paradigm of how people operated. It was a common experience and expectation, really, that the life of a successful business leader, such as yourself, would follow three phases. They would be, firstly, these early years where it was dominated by study and learning that would be preparing you for your career. Your career would be that second phase, and it was where your focus was on making your way up the ladder as quickly as possible and making as much money as humanly possible. And often in that phase of life, in terms of career, you would see this phase would be talked about in terms of it being the best years, and you were almost expected to, and you expected yourself, that you would be sacrificing time, energy, experiences and relationships on the altar of work ethic and ambition and seeking approval. So that was the second big chunky phase of life. And the third phase that you would typically expect to be going through was retirement. And this was a time where you could now give back with a combination of your time, talent and treasure. And the extent to which that you could give back was made possible by those decisions, the actions and the accumulated wealth from your career phase.